My parents moved my brother and his girlfriend into my basement apartment that I pay $1,000 per month for, then asked me to pay more rent to cover extra utilities. Now they're learning why that was a mistake. Hi everyone. Today's story will blow your mind, but really quick, if you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. Thanks to you, we can keep sharing the most shocking family stories. Let's jump in. My parents moved my brother into my basement apartment without warning. Original post. I, 27M, need to know if I'm losing my mind here or if my family is actually being as unreasonable as I think they are. This might be long, but I need to get this off my chest. For context, I've been living in my parents' basement apartment for the past 3 years. When I graduated college with my marketing degree, the job market was brutal. I'd gotten an entry-level position at a digital marketing agency, but the salary barely covered student loans and living expenses. My parents, David, 57M, and Patricia, 55F, offered to let me move into their basement while I got on my feet. The basement isn't just some unfinished storage space, it's a fully renovated apartment. Previous owners had converted it for their elderly mother, so it has its own entrance, a full bathroom, a kitchenette with a full-size fridge and stove, and about 900 square feet of living space. When I moved in, we sat down and made a formal agreement. I would pay $800 per month in rent, below market rate for our area, where similar apartments go for $1,400 to $1,600, but fair given its family, handle all utilities for the basement separately metered, and maintain the space myself. No random visits, no using it for storage, no treating it like it's still just part of their house. Over the past 3 years, I've invested heavily in making it truly mine. I spent $3,000 on new laminate flooring when the old carpet started smelling musty. I painted every wall, learning from YouTube videos how to do it properly with primer and everything. I furnished it piece by piece, a real bed frame and mattress, not just a futon, a proper desk setup for my work-from-home job. I left the agency after a year to go freelance. A sectional couch, a 55-inch TV, kitchen supplies, the works. I even set up a small home gym in one corner. Nothing fancy, just a weight bench, adjustable dumbbells, and a pull-up bar. All told, I've probably put $12,000 into this space. My parents have been struggling financially lately. Dad's hours at the manufacturing plant got cut from 50 hours a week to 32. They eliminated overtime and laid off a third of the workforce. He was lucky to keep his job at all. Mom works retail at a department store downtown, but with online shopping killing brick-and-mortar stores, her hours have been cut too. She's down to about 25 hours a week. 2 months ago, they sat me down for a difficult conversation. They were behind on the mortgage and stressed about money. I offered to increase my rent to $1,000 per month to help them out. They were grateful, even teared up. I also started buying some of the household groceries, just leaving them upstairs without making a big deal about it. I make good money now, about $75,000 a year from my consulting work, so I could afford to help. Last Tuesday, everything changed. I'd been at a 3-day work conference in Chicago, presenting a workshop on social media marketing strategies. It went great, and I'd landed 2 new potential clients. I was exhausted but exhilarated when I got home around 8 p.m. I came down the basement stairs to find my brother Michael, 25M, surrounded by boxes, setting up his PlayStation in my living room. His computer tower was on my coffee table, wires everywhere. His clothes were already hanging in my closet. His toiletries had taken over my bathroom counter. What the hell is happening? I asked, trying to stay calm despite my rising panic. Michael barely looked up from connecting cables to my TV. Oh, hey bro, Mom and Dad said I could crash here for a while. Lost my job at the warehouse last month. Couldn't make rent at my place. And nobody thought to mention this to me? The person who actually lives and pays rent here. He shrugged. They said they'd talk to you. Guess they forgot. But come on man, we're brothers. It'll be like old times, sharing a room again. I immediately went upstairs. My parents were in the kitchen, Mom preparing dinner while Dad read the newspaper. They both looked up guiltily when I walked in. We need to talk, I said. No. Mom sighed, wiping her hands on a dish towel. James, before you get upset dash. Before I get upset? There's a whole person moving into my apartment. The apartment I pay rent for. It's not your apartment, she said, her voice getting that defensive tone I knew too well. It's our house. We own it. Michael needs somewhere to stay, and there's plenty of room down there for both of you. You boys shared a room until you were teenagers. We were kids. I'm 27 years old, I pay rent, I work from home. I have client calls at all hours. I need privacy and quiet to run my business. Dad put down his paper. Look, son, we appreciate everything you do to help out, We really do. But Michael is family. He's going through a rough patch. The basement is big enough for both of you, and it's only temporary. How temporary? I demanded. They exchanged glances. Until he gets back on his feet, Mom said vaguely. Which means what? A week? A month? A year? However long it takes, Dad said firmly. Family helps family. I am helping family. I'm paying $1,000 a month to help with your mortgage. Does Michael plan to pay half of that? Another uncomfortable glance between them. Michael doesn't have any money right now, Mom said softly. Once he gets a new job. So I'm paying full rent to share half the space with someone who contributes nothing? He's your brother, Dad said, as if that explained everything. That doesn't answer my question. Mom's eyes filled with tears, her go-to move when she wanted to shut down an argument. Why are you being so selfish? Can't you just help your brother without making it about money? I went back downstairs, furious but trying to think rationally. Michael had already completely taken over. The larger open area where my bed and work desk had been set up, my bedroom area, essentially, was now his domain. He'd pushed my bed against the wall to make room for his own queen-size bed. Mine was a double. My work desk, a large L-shaped setup with dual monitors, was crammed into the corner next to my bed, making it impossible to have a professional background for video calls. We need to talk about boundaries, I told him. Sure, whatever, he said, not looking away from the game he'd already started playing. I work from home. I have calls starting at 8 a.m. sometimes. I need quiet during business hours. Cool, he muttered, clearly not listening. Michael, I'm serious. And we need to figure out groceries, cleaning, utilities dash. Dude, relax, he finally paused his game. Mom and Dad said I could stay here. They didn't say anything about rules and shit. Just chill out, okay? It's not that deep. Update 1, 2 weeks later. The past 2 weeks have been absolute hell, and this morning it somehow got worse. First, let me catch you up on Michael's behavior since moving in. He's unemployed but treats it like he's on vacation. He stays up until 4 or 5 a.m. playing Call of Duty or Fortnite with his friends, screaming into his headset. Get him! Get him! Behind you, you fucking idiot! At 3 a.m. is apparently perfectly reasonable to him. When I asked him to keep it down, he bought a quieter headset, which just means he yells slightly less loud. He hasn't looked for a single job. I know because he brags about his strategy. He applies to 1 job a week to keep our parents off his back, but deliberately bombs any interviews so he can keep collecting unemployment. Why would I take some shit job for $15 an hour when I can get unemployment for doing nothing? He told his friend Tyler last week, not knowing I could hear him. His unemployed friends treat my apartment like a clubhouse. Brandon, Tyler, Nathan, and Kevin are here almost every day. They eat my food, drink my beer, I had a 6-pack of craft beer I was saving, gone in one afternoon, and leave trash everywhere. During my important client presentation last week, a potential $50,000 contract for my company, Brandon walked through my video frame in his underwear to get a beer from MY Fridge. The client asked if I was working from a dorm room. I lost the contract. But this morning was the breaking point. I woke up at 6 a.m. to use the bathroom and found a complete stranger in there. A woman I'd never seen before was using MY shower, my towels, and MY expensive beard care products. When she saw me, she screamed and grabbed a towel, my towel, running to Michael's area. Ashley, 23F, as I learned her name was, is Michael's girlfriend. Apparently, she'd been staying over since 3 days ago, though I hadn't noticed because I'd been avoiding the apartment as much as possible, working from coffee shops and the library. But she wasn't just staying over. Her 3 suitcases were stacked in the corner. Her makeup covered every inch of the bathroom counter. She'd completely reorganized my kitchenette, moving all my meal prep containers to make room for her Instant Pot, air fryer, and collection of Starbucks tumblers. My protein powder and supplements were shoved in a cabinet to make room for her skincare fridge, a mini fridge specifically for face masks and serums. I found Michael still asleep despite Ashley's screaming. I shook him awake. "Your girlfriend is living here now?" I demanded. He rubbed his eyes. "Oh yeah, she got kicked out of her place. Roommate was being a total bitch about rent just because Ashley was a few months behind. Where else was she supposed to go? Literally anywhere that isn't the apartment I pay for." "Dude, you really need to chill about the money thing. It's not a good look." Ashley emerged then, wearing one of my t-shirts, my favorite band tee from a concert I'd attended 5 years ago. "You must be James. Michael said you wouldn't mind. This space is huge. In the city, this would be like a $3,000 apartment. It would be, I said through gritted teeth, which is why I pay rent for it. Well, we're not taking up that much space, she said, gesturing vaguely. You still have your little corner. My little corner was now approximately 150 square feet of the 900 square foot apartment. I stormed upstairs, not caring that it was 6:30 a.m. My parents were having coffee in the kitchen. Michael moved his girlfriend in, I announced. Mom barely looked up from her phone. Oh, Ashley. She's such a sweet girl. Did you know she's an influencer? She has almost 5,000 followers on TikTok. I don't care if she has 5 million followers. She can't live in my apartment. Dad set down his coffee cup hard. James, what have we said about calling it your apartment? I pay $1,000 a month. That makes it mine. No, that makes you a tenant, and we're the landlords. And as landlords, we decide who lives on our property. Then I want a lease. A real, legal lease that outlines my rights. They both laughed. Mom reached over and patted my hand condescendingly. Honey, you don't need a lease. We're family. Leases are for strangers. Strangers who have rights. Right now, I'm paying premium rent for a third of the space I'm supposed to have, sharing with two people who contribute nothing. They're going through a hard time, Mom said. Ashley is an influencer with 5,000 followers. How hard can her time be? You don't understand how tough the gig economy is, Dad said, as if he knew anything about it. I decided to try one more angle. The utilities are in my name. I pay for electricity, water, internet. If they're living there, they need to contribute. We'll help with utilities, Mom said quickly. You can't afford your mortgage, but you can afford to pay their utilities? The uncomfortable silence told me everything. Update 2, 1 month later. I've been documenting everything. Every disturbance, every theft, yes, theft. They've been taking my food, clothes, and even money from my wallet. Every time they've made it impossible for me to work. I have videos, photos, audio recordings. Why? Because I've been planning. After my last update, things got so much worse. Ashley decided the basement was perfect for her content creation. She set up ring lights and phone tripods in the living area, filming TikToks and Instagram Reels all day. Day in my life living with my boyfriend's brother videos where she painted me as an uptight, antisocial weirdo. In one video that went semi-viral, 50K views, she filmed me trying to work while talking about how some people just can't handle sharing and toxicity in shared living spaces. Michael's job search was non-existent. I watched him one day. He spent 6 hours playing video games, 2 hours napping, and 5 minutes sending one job application to a position requiring 10 years of experience he didn't have. When our parents asked about his search, he'd lie about having interviews lined up. Then came the party. Last Friday, without telling me, they invited 20 people over for Ashley's birthday. I came home from a client meeting to find my apartment trashed. Red wine spilled on my couch, someone had vomited in my bathroom, my TV had a crack in the screen from where someone threw a controller, and my work laptop was missing from my desk. I called the police. My parents were mortified when 2 squad cars showed up. The party cleared out quickly. I filed a report for the stolen laptop and property damage. You called the police on your own brother? Mom shrieked. I called the police on people who robbed and vandalized my home, I corrected. The laptop was found the next day. One of Ashley's friends had borrowed it to look something up and forgot to return it. The screen was cracked. That laptop cost $2,500 and had all my work on it. This was my breaking point. I met with a lawyer, paying $300 for a consultation. Here's what I learned. 1. In our state, I have established tenancy rights after living there for 3 years. 2. My parents needed to give me proper written notice before moving anyone else in. 3. By making my living space uninhabitable, they'd violated the implied warranty of habitability. 4. I could sue for damages. Armed with this information, I called a family meeting. Update 3, 6 weeks later. The family meeting was a disaster, but exactly what I expected. I came prepared with printed documentation, photos of the damage, transcripts of text messages where they acknowledged I paid rent, recordings of the noise during my work hours, even a spreadsheet showing my financial contributions versus Michael's, $0. This is what you've driven me to, I said, laying it all out. I've consulted with a lawyer. What you're doing is illegal. Dad went red. You'd sue your own parents? You'd exploit your own son? I countered. Michael grabbed the papers, glanced at them, and laughed. This is pathetic, James. You're really this butthurt about sharing. I'm butthurt about paying $1,000 a month for space I can't use while you contribute nothing. Ashley, who wasn't supposed to be in the meeting but inserted herself anyway, started recording on her phone. This is going to make great content. Karen brother tries to evict family. I turned to her. Post that and I'll sue you for defamation. I have my own recordings of you admitting to damaging my property. She went pale and put her phone down. Mom started crying. How did we get here? We're supposed to be a family. We are a family, I said. But that doesn't mean you get to take advantage of me. I have a proposal. I laid out my terms. 1. Michael and Ashley have 30 days to find alternative housing. 2. I continue paying $1,000 per month for sole occupancy of the basement. 3. We put our agreement in writing. 4. If they refuse, I move out with proper notice and pursue legal action for damages. This is blackmail, Dad said. This is business, I replied. You wanted to treat me like a tenant instead of a son? Fine. These are my terms as a tenant. They refused, of course. They accused me of being selfish, money-obsessed, and cruel. Michael called me a corporate sellout. Ashley said I had bad energy. Mom cried about how I was tearing the family apart. I'm not tearing anything apart, I said calmly. I'm just refusing to be torn apart myself. I gave my 60-day notice that evening, the legal minimum in our state. The next 2 months were tense. I installed a lock on my bedroom area. They threatened to remove it but backed down when I reminded them about my tenant rights. I moved anything valuable to a storage unit. I grey-rocked them all completely. No emotional responses, no arguments, just cold politeness. Michael and Ashley escalated their behavior, trying to provoke me. They'd be intentionally loud during work calls, accidentally use my things, leave messes everywhere. I documented everything but didn't react. I had a goal: get out clean. Mom tried manipulation. Your father's so stressed he's having chest pains. He wasn't. I saw him eating bacon and riding his bike the next day. Dad tried anger. You're not welcome at Christmas if you go through with this. Fine by me. Michael tried mockery. Running away to your little apartment like a baby. Better than being a baby in my parents' basement. Moving day came. I'd already moved 90% of my stuff gradually. Michael was gleeful, already planning how he'd set up his apartment. Ashley was measuring for furniture they couldn't afford. As I carried out my last box, Mom made one final attempt. Please, James. Say. We'll work something out. You had 6 weeks to work something out. You chose not to. We're choosing family, she said. No, you're choosing Michael. And that's fine. But choices have consequences. Final update, 3 months later. I'm writing this from my new apartment. It's a 1-bedroom in a converted Victorian, 650 square feet, with original hardwood floors and good natural light. It costs $1,800 per month, which hurts, but it's mine. No one can move anyone in. No one can tell me I'm selfish for wanting privacy. No one can steal my food or break my things or film TikToks about what a terrible person I am. The first month was adjustment. I had to dip into my house savings for deposit and moving costs. I had to buy some furniture. A lot of my stuff was too damaged to take. But I also had peace. Blessed, beautiful peace. My work improved immediately. I landed 3 new clients in my first month, including one enterprise contract worth $100,000 annually. Turns out, when you can actually work without interruption, you perform better. Who knew? Week 3 in my new place, Mom called. She was crying, genuinely this time. Without my $1,000 per month, they'd missed their mortgage payment. The bank had sent a warning letter. Please, James. We just need $500 to make this month's payment. We'll pay you back. Ask Michael. He's living there rent-free. He doesn't have any money. Still, it's been 3 months since he lost his job. He's trying. No, he's not. And you know he's not. You're enabling him, and now you want me to enable you enabling him. She hung up on me. Dad called next, not to apologize but to rage. You're really going to let us lose our house? You're really going to choose homelessness over charging Michael rent? He's our son. He needs help. I'm your son too, and I offered help. Real help, financial help. You rejected it to coddle Michael. That's your choice, but I won't subsidize it. He told me I was no longer welcome in their home. Fine, I said. I have my own home now anyway. The real kicker came last week. Michael posted on Facebook, "Anyone know of cheap 2 bedrooms? Ashley's sister and her boyfriend need to move in and my parents' basement is getting crowded." Ashley's sister. And her boyfriend. For adults now living in that 900 square foot space, none paying rent. Jennifer, my cousin, messaged me the post with, "Face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, karma." Then came the group family text from Mom, "Emergency family meeting Sunday. Mandatory." I replied, "I'm not family anymore, remember? Dad made that clear." Mom, "Don't be dramatic. We need to discuss the house situation." Me, "My house situation is fine." Mom, "Our mortgage, James. We're 2 months behind." Me, "That sounds like a you problem. Or maybe a Michael problem, since he lives there." Michael, "Fuck you, James." Me, eloquent as always. "Dad, you're really going to let spite destroy this family?" Me, "I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not saving you from your own choices anymore." I left the group chat. Here's what I've learned. Sometimes toxic family dynamics only become clear when you step outside them. My parents didn't value my contributions until they were gone. They took my responsibility and reliability for granted while rewarding Michael's irresponsibility with free housing. They wanted a son who would quietly pay their bills while accepting whatever treatment they dished out. When I refused to be that son, they called me selfish. But what's really selfish? Taking advantage of your responsible child to enable your irresponsible one? Or protecting yourself from being exploited? My therapist, yes, I started therapy, told me something profound: you're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. My parents are adults. They own a house. They have jobs. If they can't afford their mortgage, they have options: charge Michael rent, evict him, sell the house, get second jobs, declare bankruptcy. All of these are more reasonable than expecting their other son to pay for housing he's not allowed to use. Last night, I had dinner with Jennifer and her husband. They told me the family gossip. Apparently, my parents are considering a second mortgage. Michael still doesn't have a job but somehow has a new gaming system. Ashley is pregnant, accidentally supposedly, and they're turning my former gym corner into a nursery. For a baby. In a basement. Where neither parent pays rent or has a job. They're saying you abandoned them, Jennifer said. I did, I replied. And it was the best decision I ever made. She raised her wine glass. To boundaries. To boundaries, I toasted. As I write this, I'm sitting in my small but peaceful apartment. My work is thriving. My mental health is improving. My savings are slowly recovering. I'm dating someone new who respects my boundaries and understands why I don't introduce her to my family yet. Sometimes I feel guilty. Then I remember the crack in my laptop screen, the wine stain on my couch, the 20 people partying in my home without permission, the TikToks mocking me, the parents who chose enabling over fairness. The guilt passes. My parents made their choice. They chose the easy path of giving in to Michael rather than the harder path of making him grow up. They chose the illusion of peace, giving everyone what they want, over actual resolution, making everyone contribute fairly. Now they're living with those choices. Michael and Ashley and her sister's boyfriend are all living rent-free in their basement while they struggle with their mortgage. And somehow, that's supposed to be my fault? No. I refuse to accept responsibility for other people's bad decisions. Living well is the best revenge, they say. But sometimes, the revenge isn't even necessary. Sometimes, just stepping back and letting people experience the natural consequences of their actions is enough. My parents wanted me out so Michael could have the basement. They got what they wanted. Now they're learning that what we want and what we need aren't always the same thing. They wanted a son who would never say no. They needed a son who would help them maintain boundaries. They pushed away the second to keep the first, and now they have neither. Michael isn't helping them, and I won't. Some bridges are worth burning, especially when the people on the other side were perfectly happy watching you drown. My new life isn't perfect, but it's mine. And that's worth everything.